Hello and welcome everybody to MBC News. I'm your anchor, Dusa Dragonash, and I have with me our lovely news team here to say hello. It's Sigmund Learminster.
Good evening.
Mal Burns-Writer.
Good evening, everybody.
And Editorial Clarity.
Hello.
Now, pro-democracy demonstrations are continuing to roll across the Middle East and North Africa, and social networks are keeping the communications going. A major earthquake hit Christchurch, New Zealand this week, causing loss of life and major damage.
The Virtual World Currency Exchange, or VWOX, has added the currency for the new OpenSim venture, Avination. Users of VWOX can now swap 3 virtual currencies for real-world US dollars and euros. You can even exchange virtual currencies from one grid for virtual currencies for another. Thus, Second Life residents can take a trip to Avination and change their lindens for Avination credits so they can buy goods. VWOX also trades in the Open Metaverse Currency, or OMC, which can be used across a number of OpenSim hypergrid worlds.
And Avination have also announced a gambling grid called Avizino, although Avizino is not owned by Avination, they say, but rather hosted by them. We should point out here that Avination has its base in Europe, where gambling laws are different to those influencing Second Life and Linden Labs, where gambling ceased to be a couple of years ago, much to everybody's chagrin. Described as a vast grid, you will only have access to the gambling with a paid account, it looks like. If you have a free account, there will be no free play available at the moment. It's probably obvious why. The only one who will be gambling would be the house.
When people make partnerships in Second Life, a simple click of a button along with 10 Linden dollars can seal the deal. Conversely, another click and 25 Lindens can bring about a speedy divorce. But now, in the real-life Facebook world, a click of a button can let you see which of your real-life friends are hooking up or breaking down. Now, a new app called Breakup Notifier sends you an email when friends you are tracking experience a change of relationship status. The company who created the app have the marketing blurb, quote, "You like someone, they're in a relationship, be the first to know when they're out of it," unquote. Now, dubbed by some a stalker app, it has already registered about 250,000 users.
My word.
Scary stuff.
Dear. Stuff. Very scary stuff. Okay, how far would you go to experience a new taste sensation? The organiser of next month's annual Wild Foods Festival in New Zealand are offering horse semen on the menu. The organiser, Mike Keenan, says it will taste like milkshake. And he's aiming to have it available in a range of flavours, such as strawberry, vanilla and chocolate. In comparison, it sounds like the raw scorpions and chocolate-coated beetles might be more palatable. A jizz fizz, anyone?
I'm thinking not. I'm just fascinated by the notion that he says it will taste like milkshake. How does he know?
Okay, now over to Mal for Tech Spot.
Well, thank you, Dusa. I'm going to say limit my protein choices for now. Right, first off, I'm going to mention something that's taken a foothold in Second Life to the increasing discomfort of many residents. It's called a red zone. Now, if you like to follow people, get to know everything about them, where they've been, what they've been doing, who their alts are, etc., you'll probably already know about this. However, if you're just going about your more normal business, you need to be aware that it records users' IP addresses, can connect identities of your alts, and otherwise impinge on your privacy. A new HUD called Green Zone has been developed to warn users of locations where Red Zone is running, allowing you to disable some of the snooping and avoid certain SIMs entirely.
Mal, I just have to interject here and say, when did this happen? I don't quite understand how it works. I've read all the blurb on it. I haven't got it, needless to say. But how does it work? It's, as far as I can see, it's something to do with the music and the media settings.
Well, I think it's a bit greater than that. I mean, I first came across this near the end of last week, and my colleague on our Week in Review show is much more techie than I was. Sort of covered this at the weekend. Basically, it seems to be installed, I think is the best expression, in various businesses, various SIMs or whatever, and it allows people going to those SIMs to be tracked, and it can record things like your IP address of your computer, and by doing this, for example, it stores it in an offline database. And if you, for example, log in as an alt and you're trying to keep your alt's identity secret, then that's out the window, because you may well be logging in from the same IP address, for example. Basically, people who are buying Red Zone have to fork out 4,000 lindens for it, which really isn't very much in real world money. Once they've got it, everything gets scanned and added to the database. And apparently, the database can scan anybody who is in SL in very general terms. So I'm really surprised that it's something Linden Labs haven't shown any kind of interest in this. Apparently, from a marketing point of view, they say that identifying people's alts is actually the major selling point of the item.
Well, I mean, I'm absolutely gobsmacked by this, I have to say. I mean, I had heard the word Red Zone coming up, and there was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of excitement and everything about it. I'd heard about it coming up and everything. What about you two, Sigmund?
Well, I've been following some of this on the Second Life discussion forum, where primarily a lot of the discussion is about how it's being used by stores, because actually on the positive side, and we have to look a little bit about why would people want this in the first place. One of the notions was that for storekeepers, this allowed them to track people who were using alts in order to come in and try and steal copyright stuff. It also had the facility to eject people and to ban people. So if you think about it from that perspective, the development of Red Zone was partly as a result of people wanting to protect their assets within Second Life. But clearly it does a lot more than that, and it's the lot more than that that is becoming more worrisome to people, and hence the reason that people are saying that they'd like to see this banned, and people are developing the green zone. So what was originally, in a sense, seemed like a sensible, good idea has become something which is a lot more scary to people.
Okay, I'm going to bring in Eddie here at this point, because Eddie, you are around the fashion areas and the fashion outlets and the shops and things. Yeah, I mean, have you heard of this as being a useful situation for for sellers, basically?
Well, same as what Sigmund said. I've heard of store owners, the whole copyright issues that have been going around, and I mean, I can see it as positives to it like that. Store owners can see if people are using alts to do stuff like that. But I think it just sounds like it's gone a bit too far, and with what else they've done, and it's, I mean, I could see more negatives with it than positives. But yeah, I have heard some designers, wanting to get stuff like that. But this is I think a bit too far.
Yeah, this morning, in fact, 22nd of February, apparently there have been 1,300 votes on the Second Life JIRA things to close this media exploit. And Linden say, it's rather jokingly referred to here as it has been assigned to a working on it Linden.
To working on it Linden.
Keep voting and watching. And they do say that technically the only thing the app can do is scan the area around the person wearing it and report back existing information that's already in the database.
But whose database? It's not in my IP address isn't in your database, is it?
No, but I think
exactly. So,
Yeah.
It's giving new information to people who don't particularly want to have it.
Exactly. I think, these things come up from time to time. Anybody who can seriously code stuff and, is determined to get around the precautions of Second Life and then have to have it in place is going to be able to do it. And then it's going to be up to people like Lab to figure out ways to block it from working.
Do we know who developed it, Mal?
No. I don't. No, I'm afraid I don't offhand.
I suppose, if you're
They probably don't want to be known.
It's probably the same people who've developed the green zone.
We'll market one thing to do this, then we'll market the other thing to stop it.
Actually, well, the green zone doesn't stop it, does it? It just gives you a heads up when there's a red zone scanning place.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, the green zone is a relatively cheap thing you can pick up, and it will at least alert you. Apparently it's green, and it turns red if you're in the vicinity of anything the red zone is snooping on.
Okay. Well, there's some right clever buggers out there, if you ask me. Okay, moving on. Now for these messages. And welcome back. And we're still with Mal Burns-Writer because we're going to talk about moving about, aren't we, now?
Well, yes, indeed. The other thing in tech this week, I guess, is motion sensors. We've heard about Microsoft's Kinect, which hit the market over Christmas. Basically, Microsoft announced today that they've confirmed that Kinect hackers, they call them, are going to get an official developer kit, and the drivers to run the Xbox device called Kinect, which is a standard USB device, will now be incorporated into the Windows operating system too. So it will no longer officially be just for Xbox, it will be for Microsoft Windows, etc. as well. Meanwhile, there was a video up about a week ago from a Linden, a European Linden no less, who has confirmed and demonstrated that they have already developed the Kinect drivers for Second Life. So presumably in preferences where you go to your joystick settings or your space cam or whatever it's called, shortly you'll have the option to customize Kinect. And it's quite intriguing because also today there's a company called OptiTrack have announced a far more expensive item called the V120 Trio tracking bars, and it looks a bit like an elongated Kinect, but this actually holds two motion sensors and one normal webcam. And I think they say it will be under $2,000. So it sounds like it's not cheap, but no more than $2,000. And it's designed for desktop-friendly motion capture, and it has 6 degrees of freedom. Object tracking is their pitch. So basically, 3 cameras is more than 1 camera added to 2, if you see what I mean. It's it really brings the same sort of thing that Kinect is, to a pro audience, shall we say.
So basically, it's heading towards cheap motion capture, isn't it?
It is. I'm not sure about the new one, but certainly with Kinect, it is very much a consumer product. You have to stand within a few. You can't be too close to your screen, and you can't be too far away. So it's a sensory device that works while you're in front of a monitor too. It doesn't really compete with full motion capture systems, as it were. So, I think we're going to see different levels of equipment in this field coming on.
Well, I think certainly if it's coming out of OptiTrack, that's certainly the direction it's going in. Yes,
for sure, I would think. The other thing that just ties in with something mentioned earlier is that one of the very big open sim grids is the Science Grid. They are really one of the biggest, and they have announced that they are back on the hypergrid. They've joined back into the hypergrid again because they believe security concerns have now been fixed. So,
and have they?
Yes, I think if Science Grid and Intel and everybody else involved with this are joining hypergrid, they are fairly convinced that security concerns have now been addressed.
What does that mean, security concerns have now been addressed?
It was to do with the ability to illicitly take content from one grid to another. I mean, hypergrid, a lot of it, people offer free content. You pick it up on one grid, you take it back and decorate your house on another grid. That's fair, but if there are things that are technically for sale, technically if somebody's hosting a private hypergrid, for example, somebody could hop in there and they could use their region controller to actually take everything from the asset servers and then copy it elsewhere. And that catch has now been fixed. There are export permissions that you have to assign on Open Grid, which basically prevent anything being taken off the grid you're on, unless the person who created it wants to give you permission to do so.
Mm. Well, thank you very much. Now we're on to a much more cheerful subject as far as I'm concerned, which is the public service announcement. So it's over to our adorable editorial Clarity.
Alrighty, well, the official Linda Labs Second Life blogs and forums are officially closed until March the 2nd. The forums are used by many SL residents as a social exchange network outside of the actual Second Life virtual world. The closure is a temporary measure to allow Linda Lab to update their software and make way for a new community platform. Forum addicts are now having to suffer withdrawal symptoms, or perhaps even spend more time in world actually meeting people face to face. And no, the irony of people preferring to use a text-based forum to communicate rather than face-to-face interactions as virtual avatars hasn't escaped us. SL Arctours claim the Fame competition is going well with around 70 entries. The website is going up and the team is getting very excited. Casting sessions are due to start very soon and the word is spreading. The website is sl-artcouture.com/claim-the-fame. The Carnival on Cologne and Munich Sims will be happening during the second week in March, and all are invited to see this real-life Second Life event. So if you've got any interest in that, you want to go check it out, go do that. I'm supposed to go on to that in real life. Dean Ashby invited me, by the way.
Are you
Who
going?
was on Grid Rap. Might do, yeah.
Oh, well, you've got to take some footage, mister, because we're filming the Monday one.
Ah,
yeah,
there we go then.
In here, so that would be great.
I could do the real-life stuff.
You could.
Yeah. Anyway, February 27th, Metaverse TV will be filming in front of a live audience a new program, which is going to have guest Christopher Kwan at Metaverse Ireland. So also stay tuned for that as well. And that's it for the announcements this week.
Thank you very much, Eddie. And that's all we've got time for today. I can feel everybody champing at the bit because we have a little invitation just after this. So say good night, gentlemen.
Good night. Have a good week.
Sorry, I'm too busy champing at the bit. Good night.
Good night.
Stay safe from MBC News.